President, your reaction to the latest numbers from the Labor Department saying that inflation rose slightly last month?
Very slight. Essentially, they were exactly as anticipated. Very low inflation. So what you should do is lower the rate. The Fed should lower the rate immediately.
Well, inflation is not very low, and actually it's trending in the wrong direction. Up. And I'm going to talk about why the Fed is likely not going to be lowering interest rates anytime soon in a second. But first, let's talk about the actual numbers. The Bureau of Labor Statistics released the June Consumer Price Index report this morning. And the numbers show that the inflation increase is happening, at least in part, because of President Trump's tariffs, which are just starting to take hold in the economy. According to the BLS, inflation increased overall by 0.3% between May and June of this year, but it also increased by 2.7% between June of 2025 and June of 2024. That is the biggest jump we've seen since February. Now, for the record, the Federal Reserve wants to see inflation at 2% year over year. Not 2.7, not 2.5, not 2.2, 2%. And we are not there. And in fact, inflation is going up, not down. The biggest increases we saw, according to the report, came from shelter, which was up nearly 4% year over year. Food from the grocery store was up 3% year over year. And we also saw a big jump in energy, led by a 1% increase in gas prices between May and June of this year, and natural gas, which is up a whopping 14% year over year. So how can economists tell that the tariffs are playing a role in any of that? Well, the cost of some other things that we import are starting to also go up, like furniture, appliances, toys, and car parts and equipment. Now, a large portion of those things are imported, which means they are subject to Trump's initial tariffs. Now, it's worth noting that we did see some decreases in monthly inflation, including for airfare and for used cars and trucks. Now, two things to keep in mind here. One, these numbers are reflective of the Trump baseline tariffs and haven't even taken into account all the reciprocal tariffs, which are scheduled to take effect on August 1st. Those, if they happen, will be massive. And these inflation numbers, according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, will probably spike up. The second thing you have to remember is the Federal Reserve will be meeting 2 weeks from today to decide what to do with interest rates. The Fed says inflation has to be close to 2% in order for the Federal Reserve governors to feel comfortable cutting interest rates. Well, as I said, not only is inflation sitting at 2.7%, it's also trending up instead of trending down. Most economists say the Fed will not be cutting interest rates at this July meeting, and if the Trump August 1st tariffs kick in and inflation does in fact spike as a result, it is very likely that interest rates will not be cut anytime after that either. So if you want to see this inflation report for yourself, I'm going to email it out to you in my Facts HQ email, so make sure you sign yourself up.